of cool people. We are going to bring on Mr. Jaimie Scott. What is up?
Yo!
What is up, dude?
Hi, April Samuels. How are you?
I am great. How are you doing, man?
I'm wonderful. I'm so happy to be with you.
I'm so happy you could make it, man. You know, I want you to know this wasn't all my doing, okay? We started doing these musician people, and Rue Fox, who's from our volunteer team, she was like, can you get Jaimie Scott? And I was like, yeah, I've talked to him about come. And I was like, cool. So I was totally pumped about the ideas, but I wanted to give her a shout out because she loves her some Jaimie Scott. I just need you to know that. Or she might love Curly Brown. I'm not really sure which one she loves, so she might not like you at all for all I know.
Well, she might also find out over the course of the next half hour that I'm just not that interested.
Right, all of a sudden the numbers start dropping. I'm like, oh man, no more Jaimie. We're not doing this again, dude. Well, man, I'm super excited.
This is for you, Rue.
There you go, dude. That's awesome. Well, man, I'm super excited you could be here tonight. It's a really cool night. We had Rocky on earlier. She's also flat. She had no reconstruction like me, so she's super cool. And then to have you follow her up is great. And it's cool because we have so many people in the local music scene that we all know each other, but we don't know our back history. And it's been so fun having people on this show and like really getting like the good gossip from back in the day kind of stuff. And you were cool enough to send photos. So as you're telling your story, I'm going to be able to slip those in as you say the name of that one band. I'm going to like pop it into the whole thing while we're going along here. And I want to remind everybody, you guys can always send questions into the comments down below. So if you have any questions for Jaimie, be sure and pop those in. So Jaimie, dude, how did it all start, man? How did you start getting into music?
You know, it's so funny. Sometime in middle school, all of my friends started showing up and being like, hey, I got a guitar for my birthday and I'm learning guitar. You know, like, oh, hey, that's really cool. Hey, I started piano lessons and now I'm a keyboard player and I got a synthesizer. And I would be like, oh, that's really cool. And then next thing I knew, they were starting to tell me like, yeah, we got together and jammed yesterday and it was really cool. And I was like, well, we've been friends for 15 years. I didn't get to go. And they were like, well, you don't play anything. You know, so like it was a band practice. So we had band practice and it was really cool. And, and I was like, well, I want to be in a band. I want to be able to hang out with my friends.
Right.
So I went to a local music store, which I had never been to before. And I found this guy who looked like a musician and he looked like he worked there. And he was like, can I help you? And I was like, yeah. So all of my friends started playing like musical instruments and they're doing some kind of rock and roll thing. And I kind of want to do that too. And he said, oh, okay, I can help you. Do you want to be a guitarist or do you want to be a drummer or do you want to be a keyboardist or do you want to be a singer? And I was like, I don't even care. I just want to be part of this thing. And he said, I will never forget this.
Man.
Well, right. So this next thing that he said, I want to find the guy and I want to hug him because he said, if you choose bass, you will always have work. And I was like,
wow. Yep, it's true.
All right, I'll try bass. What should I do? And he said, buy this one. And it was like $100. And I was like, okay. And yeah, and so 35 years ago, some guy told me, if you choose bass, you will always have work. And I got my first record deal literally a year later. Literally a year after that guy told me that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't. Did you like go like when you first got that bass? Did you just throw yourself in it, or what happened? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I practiced all the time. For one, I was feeling behind. You know, like all of my friends had started playing months or a year or two ago, and so I felt like, wow, I'm really behind everybody. But also, I really enjoyed it. And so I just practiced all the time, and I practiced and I practiced and I practiced and I took lessons. And yeah, and so I just worked at it all the time. And turns out bass is really fun to play. So and it gets more and more fun to play the better you get. So as I got better, I wanted to play more. And as I got better, I wanted to play even more. And as I got better, people started to call me and they were like, we want a bass player. Do you want to be our bass player? And so then, I would be like, yeah, I've never heard that music, but I'll learn it. And learning that, their music made me better, and so on and so forth. And yeah. And so here I've had this wonderful, super fun career playing bass for
You
all these years.
you truly have. I mean, from the moment I've met you, you've been smiling. I mean, I don't think you stop. I mean, that's
Oh, it's
just
so
yeah,
fun.
you love it. You
Yeah.
clearly love it. So you said that a year after you got this bass, you got this record deal. What did that record deal entail, and what was the name of that band?
Oh, so it's funny. I was in preparing for this interview. I was actually trying to find the record. I I literally made a record. Like one of those black saucer things. Um, it was a
Like
band of,
saucer thing. Sorry,
yeah.
a black saucer thing. It's like vinyl.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
Um, yeah. Uh, so it was actually it was just the band I was in when I was in high school. It was, just fellow rock and rollers. We won a talent scout contest and we got a record deal. And it was funny. And so the record company, when we were signing, they were like, and the record company is based in Boston. So this is in Lansing, Michigan. When this was happening, that's where I grew up, Lansing, Michigan. And the record company was like, so we did this talent search, but of course, we're going to want you guys to move to Boston because that's where the company is based, and we've got connections to get your careers going in Boston. So we'll need you guys to come. And I was like, I can finish high school, right? And yeah, and so comically, I was the youngest guy in the band, and so 2 weeks after I graduated high school, we all packed up and moved to Boston.
No
To
way, dude. This is like
Yeah, yeah.
unbelievable. Like a year after you start playing bass, you get a record deal and move to Boston.
Right. So yeah. So like
Crazy.
a year after we signed the deal, I
Oh,
finished high
gotcha. Uh huh.
school. I
Uh huh.
yeah moved to Boston, and like so many record deals, it just fell apart and ended up not being a great thing. But boy, what an adventure! You're
Well,
right. I mean,
were you like when you moved up there? Did you guys record an album? Did you like go on any kind of a tour or anything like that?
we actually by the time we got there, we had recorded and produced the single. So it was one of the little records. It was
So
just two songs.
you had another
Yeah,
saucer in the
yeah.
basket. Yeah.
Well, it was just we only ever made the one single.
Uh huh. Okay.
So we recorded two songs and that was our single. We These guys, they had us literally walking the streets of Boston trying to sell our single.
Oh
So we
no.
were our record deal was literally like walking with our record up to complete strangers, like at the train
Hey,
station,
hey,
being
take.
like, hey, we have this record that we're selling. You want to buy
No.
one?
No
Yeah,
way,
for
man.
real.
That's
Yeah,
crazy,
no,
dude.
seriously. Yeah,
No
yeah, yeah.
way.
And yeah,
I just picturing it.
um,
What year was this? Like, was it late '80s?
yeah, 88,
Yeah.
89-ish. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, no, sorry. Yeah, I guess it was 88. Yeah.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
So
And
crazy.
yeah, that thing fell apart. And we all went back to Michigan, went our separate ways. And shortly after that, some other guys who I had played bars with in Michigan, which was funny because, like as a teenager in high school, I got to sometimes play bars. Um, the Some of those guys had moved out to Hollywood, and to Orange County, and they had started a band. So when my record deal band fell apart, they called and said, "Hey, man, we're headlining the Roxy and the Whiskey, and we're doing real good out here, and we need a bass player. Come and be our bass player." And so that was Cherry Street, the glam band that I sent you pictures for, um, and it
There,
was great.
we're
There,
looking at it right now. I gotta know. Are you the blonde in the front? Is that you in the color photo?
yes, I'm
That's you.
I'm the one. Yeah,
Oh yeah, Yeah, it's
I'm that one.
spitting image right there. I can tell.
Yeah.
Wait, here you got to do that for them now. Now do it again. The hair flip, dude.
I'm
That's
that one.
also the same guy.
You know that one, right? Yeah.
That's so awesome. That's actually
So yeah, and so I mean, what a blessing that was, right? So at the point that I'm like, at the point that I have a record deal at 16, I have had a charmed enough, blessed enough life for my whole life, right? But then, a year later, I join a band in Hollywood that's headlining these world famous clubs. Literally, the first time I ever went to the Sunset Strip, I had been there for maybe 3 minutes before I was signing an autograph. They were
that's
just like,
nuts,
"Hey,
man.
yeah," they were like, I got off the plane. I think I unpacked my stuff. I think I slept one night, and then we were off to the Strip. And they were like, "Hey, everybody, here's our new bass player," and I was like signing Jaimie Scott autographs. Like it was just crazy. It was crazy. I had never even had a rehearsal with them yet. Um,
Wow, that's so crazy,
yeah,
man.
yeah, what a charmed life. I'm
Yeah.
like the luckiest man in the world.
I know, seriously, that's nuts.
Right? Yeah.
So
Uh,
what was the gig that night, or what was your first gig out there?
that was actually promoting. So way back in the day, on the Sunset Strip in Hollywood, all the glam bands used to go. There were three clubs and kind of a bar right in a row on the Sunset Strip. So there was the Whiskey at one end, and then there was the Roxy a little farther down, and just past that was Gazzari's. And if you went down the street a little bit, there was the Troubadour. And no matter who was playing on a Friday or a Saturday night at any of those clubs, all the bands would go to the Sunset Strip, and we'd hand out flyers, and we'd try to talk all the pretty girls into coming to our shows the next weekend or the weekend after that. Yeah. So the very first time I went there, I really went just to be introduced kind of to the Hollywood crowd. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, and
that's
it would have
crazy.
been it would have been something like a week or two later, that we actually had a show at Kazari's. Uh, just which is crazy. That's a world famous club. And then a month later, we headlined the Roxy, which is like another
Yeah,
world famous
yeah,
club.
yeah.
Yeah,
You're like, wait, this is what the guys in Motley Crue were singing about. You know,
dude.
like for real.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I was playing on the stages that those guys had played on just a couple of years before.
yeah.
And I was walking down the sidewalk that those guys had walked down just a couple of years before. And of course, probably like you, they were my idols, all the guys in that era.
Oh yeah,
Um,
totally. Wow, that's
yeah.
unbelievable. So when you
The,
started playing down there, did you guys have a good? Were like all the shows just great shows down there? Like if you played a Friday or Saturday night down on Sunset Strip back in that day, it was just always packed? That's what I envisioned in my head. I wasn't there, so I don't know.
oh, well, it's funny. Those were the pay to play dates. So so it was really funny. So you would well, I don't even know. Are you familiar with pay to play? Did you ever do that?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think we ever had to pay to play here in Dallas. We got our $20, for the whole band.
Oh,
For the
well,
whole band, we got our $20.
got it. Well,
Split it
so
5 ways.
yeah, so it was funny back in those days, we would pay say the Roxy, excuse me, we would pay the Roxy $1,000 to headline on a Friday night. And they would give us like 200 tickets. And they'd be like, you paid $1,000 for these 200 tickets, do with them what you will. And so lots of bands in those days would just give the tickets away, and they would eat the $1,000. They'd be like, yeah, we played $1,000 to play at the Roxy. Um, but we were poor. We didn't have any money. And so we were like, well, we got to at least make our money back. Right. So gosh, help me with the math. So we would
Don't make me
sell,
do math.
oh, okay. So we would sell our 200 tickets for $5 each, and we would make our $1,000 back, or something like that. And then it didn't take long before, and so we would sell out our 200 tickets or our 300 tickets or whatever the deal was for that night. It didn't take long before we started to realize, like, oh, wait a minute, people would happily pay twice that for tickets. Um, and so we started charging more. And so at a time when musicians around the world were complaining about pay to play, we were actually making great money at it
Well,
because we
it's
were marking up our tickets. Yeah.
yeah, and that's amazing in and of itself because I mean, I've done plenty of shows where they give you tickets and like then they pay you back for each ticket that you bring in. Like that was something we did for many years. But we would never like try to sell them, or if we got free tickets, we would never try to sell them because I mean, we were just like, there's no way we're going to sell that many tickets. 200 tickets, that's a lot of tickets to sell. It really is. I mean, I'm impressed. That's a lot.
Well, and the funny thing was, what we found was the cheaper the tickets, the closer to free you got with the price of the tickets, the more people were likely to flake out and not come to your show. So if you had 300 tickets and you gave them away, you would get maybe 50% of that audience. Well, we had 300 tickets, which we sold for $10 to $20 each. And every single one of those people showed up because they were going to get their money's worth. So to answer your question, yeah, we were playing to packed clubs. Now they're smallish clubs. We have considerably bigger clubs in
Yeah, like
Dallas
I've been to
than the
the
Whiskey.
whiskey. When I went to the whiskey for the first time, I don't know, it was 10 years ago or something like that. I was like, wow, this place is really small because it's so blown
Right.
up. It's just like very
Yes.
blown up that you expect it to be a certain way, but it's really not that big at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like Fat Daddy's size.
Yeah.
If that big.
Yeah, I mean,
And
if it was all pushed to one story, probably. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah,
Right. Right.
crazy.
Yeah. Um, I don't remember if I was going somewhere with that. I mean, they were. Oh, yeah. So it's funny. So Cherry Street, that glam band, ended up on MTV. MTV did at the time did this big expose on pay to play, and it was kind of a story about like all these musicians around the country complaining about like, this is crazy. We're entertaining people and we're having to pay to entertain people. That's crazy. And our singer from Cherry Street was the one who did the interview, and I don't remember what he said, but he was kind of like, I don't know what they're all complaining about. We're making a killing. It's great for us.
Yeah, they were like wah wah with their whole point. They're like, we're trying to show that it sucks out there, and you guys are like, we're making millions out here, man. Well, and it's so crazy that
Yeah.
so many people. I guess people just didn't think to try that. I think people were probably just so desperate to have a fan base, and maybe they didn't need the money like you guys did, and they just were like,
Right.
hey, and so they didn't even think to do that. Maybe I don't know. I know I've
Right.
never thought of that. Like when people give me free tickets, I'm like, okay, we'll actually get some people to the show. We'll give them a free ticket. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And here you're proving
Um,
the opposite. It's so cool.
Right. Well, of course, yeah, of course, it was a different time and it was a different market then. But also, like lots of the musicians in LA, they had good day jobs. And so, so they didn't have time. Well, we were every Friday and Saturday night, if we didn't have a gig, we were on the strip and we were trying to sell tickets. Every other night of the week, if there was any event anywhere, we were there. So if there's an Iron Maiden concert in Long Beach, we're going to Long Beach. And when people are walking in, we're going to be trying to sell them tickets. When people are walking out, we're going to be trying to sell them tickets. If the next night there's some band at the bar down the street, we're going to be at that bar, trying to promote and trying to sell.
Wow,
Yeah. So
you guys were
yeah.
like marketing, praised people out there, just really pushing 24/7, man.
Well, we were pushing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that we were great at it, but we were pushing. Yeah. We were
So
into it.
was that band like an original band? Were you guys an original band?
Mhm.
So was it
Yeah.
kind of in line with the same style of music of any like hair band at that time? Like what would you, if you're gonna compare it to something, what was it most like?
Oh gosh. Yes. Most like Pretty Boy Floyd meets Poison meets Motley Crue meets, I don't know, any other glam band. We were definitely AC/DC influenced.
Uh huh.
Um, but yeah, just bands of the era, Guns N'
Right.
Roses, Motley Crue. Yeah, we were trying to be like them for sure.
And so did you guys release many albums at that time?
We did. We had a video. One of the fun things about being in Hollywood was we got to corner like real life rock stars to be in our video. So we actually did a video, and CC DeVille from Poison and Lemmy from Motorhead, they introduced the videos, like they introduced us in the
That's
video.
so awesome.
Yeah, and we used to be like, we'd hear like, hey, Bon Jovi's giving an interview at this radio station. We would be like, grab the camera, we're gonna go camp out at that radio station. And so like when John Bon Jovi walked out, we'd be like, dude, will you please be in our video? And he was like, what do I have to do? And we'd just be like, well, the chorus is this, so we're gonna count and please do this, you know. And so
No way, that's awesome.
So it's funny.
Holy crap.
I totally should. I'm so bad at keeping track of fun things from my career. I wish I had sent you a link to that.
Well, we'll have to find one, and we could like add it to the comments or the you know, the caption here, and then when we'll put this up on YouTube too. When we put it on YouTube, we'll put it down in the paragraph below that as well. We can put that link. So definitely still give me that. I know everybody's gonna want to see it.
Got it. So if anybody cares to look up Cherry Street, the walk, like you're walking the walk, you'll find it. Every now and then somebody still tells me, you know, like, hey man, I saw your Cherry Street video. Yeah, so that's still out there somewhere.
Well, you know, I'm headed to YouTube right now to go try to find it. I'm like, I gotta find it. I gotta see this, even if it's just playing in the background while we're talking. I'm gonna be like, what? Okay. That's crazy.
Well, you'll know if you find it because it starts with CC DeVille talking to the camera, and Lemmy is standing right next to him. You'll know if you find the right one.
I totally know I found. Hold on, dude. Hold up. I'm gonna have to mute it so it doesn't play over us. But we're gonna roll this a little bit. I have to see. Okay, so Cherry Street, The Walk music video, 1989. Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, people are gonna die. We're gonna do this. Hang on. It's happening. It's muted, but oh my god, that's so funny. Sorry, I gotta share this with everybody. I'm too excited. No, okay. I'm excited. All right, hold up, dude.
So tell me this. There's a long form video out there somewhere where we made like a half-hour movie to go with it. Are you playing the one where CC DeVille starts talking to the camera with Lynn?
It's 4 minutes long, it says. So
yeah, so that's the music video. Yeah.
I have to do I'm just gonna show like a tiny piece of this, dude. Because it does start with CC, and it does look like you cornered him somewhere.
But yeah, actually, in that case, he had actually come to our show. So that was in the dressing room at Gazzari's, and those two had come to our show. Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
so lots
awesome.
of that footage is actually from shows at Gazzari's and the Whiskey and the Troubadour and you name it. And CC and Lemmy had actually come to see us at Gazzari's. Sorry, probably they had come to pick up girls at Gazzari's, and we happened to be there.
Oh my god, you still have a lot of the same moves, Jaimie. That's so awesome, man. That's awesome.
Whenever my parents come to visit anymore, you know, like if I have a gig, I'll be like, hey, do you want to come? You know, this one's close or this one's fun or whatever. And my mom has said, for 20 years now, she has said, you know what, we're just going to hang out at the house. It's all still the Jaimie show. It's still the same Jaimie show, just different costumes.
I've seen the show before, dude. Thank you, but no thank you. We're going to stay home tonight. That's hilarious. That's awesome. All right, so we got you from was it Michigan? I think it was Michigan to Boston to LA, right? And so then what happened? Because we got to get us. Don't jump ahead, but we got to get us back to Dallas somehow. So because that's where we are right now. We're in Dallas. So what happened after that? Like, you don't have to tell me every single band. You could just throw them out, or like, what else happened out there in LA?
Right, well, okay, so I can get us to Texas at least. So on the Sunset Strip, you could kind of only headline, say, one show a month. And there were plenty of other bars in LA to play at. But, you know, if you played more than once a month, you kind of achieved market saturation and attendance started to drop off. And so we were like, okay, so we can all get jobs and we can play once a month at the Whiskey, the Roxy, Gazzarri's, the Troubadour, um, or we can try touring. And yeah, let's try touring. So so we would call clubs. I should say our guitarist Tom, who really was the mastermind of the band, would call clubs that he had heard of anywhere. We had this big worldwide fan base of um, uh, fan club members that we would like write letters to, and we would just be like, "Hey, tell us clubs," and we'll call. And so we would call, say, this club in Dallas and say, "Hey, we're a band from LA and we want to play there. Kind of if you pay our gas and pizza, we'll play." And so they would be like,
You guys had really high hopes. I can see this.
right. Well, so yeah, so like so we would get some club in Dallas to say, well, we'll give you $50 just to write, like from LA, some band from LA, just to put that on the billboard. So we'd be like, okay, cool. So we've got a gig in Dallas, but we've got to get to Dallas. So what's between LA and Dallas? Phoenix. Oh, we've got this friend in Phoenix. Let's find out what club we should call. And so we would call some club in Phoenix and say, hey, we're a band from LA and we want to play there. And if you'll pay for our gas and pizza, we'll play. And they would be like, how about $75? And we would be like, hell yeah, that'll almost get us from LA to Phoenix.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah. And yeah, so we actually started touring, and we started touring the States, and we freaking loved it. And what we all found out, this band of mostly Michiganders, we all loved Texas. And I mean, Texas is not only fun, but it's full of music lovers and the nicest people in the world. So, like our every show all throughout the United States would end with thank you, good night. Okay, everybody, try to find somebody to get breakfast for us, and let's see if we can stay at their house. Like
Yeah,
that's how we
like
toured the
literally.
United States.
Wow.
Yeah. And throughout Texas, no matter what city we were in Texas, there was like a line of people everywhere we went who we had never met before, who were like, yeah, I'll make you breakfast. Yeah, you can sleep on my couch. And so we all fell in love with Texans. So long story short,
That's that Southern hospitality, Jaimie.
yeah, so true. It is so true. And I tell Texans all the time, Texans don't always appreciate it, because Texans got to grow up with it. It's just the way the world is. But Texans really are nicer than other people throughout the world. They really are more welcoming. That Southern hospitality thing really is true. It's really a
That's
real
so
life
cool.
thing.
That's really cool
Yeah.
to hear because, like you said, it's like I don't recognize it. I don't have a comparison. I've lived in Texas my whole life, so this is just all I know. And to your point, it's like I don't know to be like, oh, everybody here is way nicer than everywhere else because I've visited other places, but visiting some place isn't the same as staying there. Or
It is different.
or
Yeah.
asking to stay on a couch. I've never gone somewhere and asked to stay on a couch either, so I don't know what that's
Dude,
like.
dude, I am not even kidding you. That's how we toured. Because if we couldn't find somebody who would let us stay at their house, we were just going to sleep in the El Camino, right?
Wow.
And we never slept in the El Camino because there was always somebody who was willing to take in a band. And here's more testament to the greatness of Texas. A year or two later, when Cherry Street broke up, almost all of us moved to Texas.
How
Almost all of
crazy.
us.
That's so
Yeah.
cool, though. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, we were so lucky. We got to tour most of the 50 states. So we got to go almost everywhere, and almost all of us chose Texas to move to, having seen the rest of the United States. It's a special place.
That's so cool.
Thank
And
you, Texas.
yeah, you're welcome. Um, so where do your parents live? Are they around here? Or are they still up north?
No, they're still in Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still in Michigan. Mhm.
And did you pick Dallas? Was that the first place you wanted to stay, or have you lived other places in Texas?
Well, Dallas. I fell in love with a girl on tour. I fell in love with a girl from Dallas, and I married her. And so that's how my residence came to be in Dallas. Yeah.
Gotcha. That's crazy cool.
Yeah.
So What year did you arrive to Dallas? Do you recall the year?
Oh gosh, it's funny. I really don't remember. And it's funny in thinking about doing this, thinking about trying to find my record saucer. I got to thinking maybe I should have kept track of some of this stuff, but I've never really kept track of it. So something like 92-ish, 93-ish, my address came to be in Dallas. Um, but here's the funny thing. Shortly after my address came to be in Dallas, I got a call from this band in New Jersey, Tyketto, and they had a deal on David Geffen Company records, and they were like, "Hey, come and be our bass player." So, kind of, I had just made my address Dallas, and I ended up in New Jersey for, I don't know, like the next 8 years, recording and touring with that band.
Wow. And again,
Yeah.
it's because if you're a bassist, you'll always have work.
Amen.
I know.
Amen.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It
So
is so unbelievable. And then we can almost take that up to yesterday.
uh-huh.
Governor Abbott announces that he's opening the state. And I mean, thank God my phone has been ringing off the hook the last 24 hours since he made that announcement with work, 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 work. It's so great.
Wow,
I'm
that's
thinking,
really cool.
yeah, I'm thinking your calendar is probably filling in crazy,
And no,
right?
I should probably check.
Ah, you have people for that.
I know, right? I'll have somebody check for me and let me know. That's so crazy. It's true though. It's been a rough past year in the music community for sure. And I think it's easily overlooked that so many people out there have a reliance financially on playing music, and I think that
Yeah,
that a lot of people just view it as a hobby. They don't realize
right,
that it's actually a living for a lot of people
right.
all over
Yeah,
the United States and in Texas and in our local area here in Dallas. And so
yeah,
it has been really really tough. I know people who've had to move in with other people for a while and just really and it's not that they haven't tried to do something else, but there's just not a lot of opportunity um when you're a
right.
musician. That's just what you know and what you've been doing. So it's good that
Yeah,
you're able
yeah,
to get back to work.
yeah. And playing drums doesn't necessarily qualify you for lots of things other than playing drums, right?
Exactly, I know. What is up with
Right?
that? It's so
Oh,
weird. How does that happen? That's so
right.
crazy. So
Yeah. So, Mr. Scott, tell us what qualifies you to be the CIO of our company. Well, I'm a really good bass player. I
I'm really
really like
good.
to play
Yeah,
bass.
watch this
Right?
and watch my hair. Watch my hair. Watch this.
Did your
Yes.
last CIO do this?
Exactly. See?
Uh,
Not everybody can do this. Exactly, man. So, what was the first band that you got into when you came to Dallas, when you finally moved here?
Oh, you know what? No Respect. Do you remember them?
Of course,
It's okay if you don't.
yes, I
Yeah.
remember.
So,
I don't even know if we ever. I've had this conversation with several people when I have them on the show here, and some people don't know it, but I was actually the assistant booking agent at the Basement, so I worked with Dale
no, I
Brock.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. See, I told you.
Wow. Okay, so
Exactly.
I played at the Basement for you with
Yep.
No Respect.
Yep.
So it's funny. So I used to with this other band Tyketto, we toured Europe uh, almost nonstop for most of the rest of the decade. Um, but so we would go on tour for, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months, and then we kind of take a couple months off. And so I would come back to Dallas for 2 months. It happens that No Respect was between bass players. One time I was back between tours, and they said, "Well, will you just fill in while you're off tour?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" So
It's
yeah,
so
so I got,
this was John Inman's band, right?
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And so
yeah.
and actually, I don't know if you were in the band at the time, but we played with No Respect a few times back then. So I was in a band called 100 Proof. It was a long time ago. And
Oh, with Coach.
with no, I didn't. Did you say Coach? I don't know anybody named Coach. I was really
Oh,
drunk back then, so it could have been somebody named Coach. I don't
so
know.
was I.
See, But like I remember one year we opened for Lord Tracy for New Year's Eve. So that was super cool at the basement.
Wow.
So like all those bands
Yeah.
like I talked to everybody and everybody circles around and then oh my god, John Vaughn was the bass
Yeah.
player in No Respect either before or after you, I don't
So
know which. But
well, no, so he's the guy I was filling for. So
gotcha.
I would right, and I guess he had left because I remember I used to wear a No Respect T-shirt that had John Vaughn's picture on it.
That's funny. John Vaughn and I were in a band together in 2003. So,
No way.
and I've known John Inman and I have known each other since like I was in a band called Frog. It's probably like 96, 97. And I mean,
Uh-huh.
I don't. I was in the same places as John Inman a lot before that, but I don't think we knew each other. And I started knowing John when he was in Trip Rocket. If you know Trip
Okay.
Rocket, Bobby Hoke from Graceland Ninjas and everybody, and Kayla was in that band, and
I didn't know that connection,
yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I've talked to John about them. I don't think I ever got to see him.
yeah, yeah. So it's crazy. I had no idea you played with them. That's nuts, man.
Oh, funny. Yeah. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Oh, that was a riot. Yeah, that was such fun. Yeah.
Those were the days, man. Down here, the basement, Dallas City Limits, on the rocks, all that stuff. Smoking Dave's Rock Room, just
Right.
all those
And
places.
yeah, and like that block around on the rocks, that was actually very like the Sunset Strip. Because remember, just kind of, even if you weren't going to go in on the rocks or one of the clubs there, you were likely to go and just hang out there because that's where everybody was
Yeah,
going.
you would just walk up and down Deep Ellum all night. I mean, it
Yeah,
was so hopping, and it was. I mean, it was really big and hopping until I don't know. I don't know. Was it the mid to late '90s or something like that? Maybe. It seems like
something
is when
like
it kind
that.
of took
Yeah,
a nosedive, but so
yeah,
many cool places. I've been talking to some people recently about like Club Clearview, Art Bar, Blind Lemon,
yeah,
all that stuff. It was such a
yeah.
different time. So who did you play? Because now I'm like, maybe you played with another band I know. Who did you play with after that?
Oh, I think I I think I only ever played with No Respect, and I think it was only ever between one or two tours. Yeah, so that was the only Dallas band I ever got to play with. Again, my address was in Dallas, but I really was at that time. I was kind of touring Europe most of the year. Yeah, so the no respect thing was just a happy coincidence. You know, I happened to be available and in town and
Right.
off tour when they happened to need somebody.
So
Yeah.
see, you just like slipped in nonchalantly. Well, I was touring Europe at that time, and blah blah blah. Dude, you're touring
Oh,
Europe. That's
right.
awesome.
Well, yeah. Um, once again, I wish I had found videos. So this Tyketto band was, like on a New Jersey band, and we were like on MTV and stuff, and
What
we
was
were
the name of the
far
what was the name of that band?
Tyketto,
Okay.
Tyketto. Tyketto. So like if you're going to do a search, I was in the video for End of the Summer Days. I think there's a
Like popping up right now. Don't worry, I'm on it.
there you go.
We're
Okay.
gonna make this
Uh,
stuff happen, man.
yeah. Um, let's see. I was in the video for Standing Alone. That was one of the semi hits ish. But that was actually recorded by their previous bass player. Um,
So was
they
that
had a couple other videos like on Headbangers Ball and stuff before I was in the band, and then we did a couple more videos when I got in the band.
Sorry, I was trying to watch through the video, but I'm just seeing like some long haired dude like staring out a window, and I'm just like, I don't know how excited people would be to see that, but I'm gonna show it to him anyway.
Ah!
Now it's like some kind of carousel. I don't know what's happening. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just haven't found the good part of it. I
Well,
don't know.
it's possible there's not a good part of it, but yeah, it's.
Okay, wait. Now I'm seeing people. Hold on. Hang on. Here we go. I gotta show the.
Are you seeing a gorgeous bass player yet?
Oh yeah, you're. I think that was you. Oh, there you
Uh,
are. Your red bass guitar. That's awesome.
Oh
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm like having the best time right now. This is the greatest thing ever.
Ah. Okay, next time we talk, you have to bring childhood pictures too.
Well, see, I'm weird because I have all that stuff. But if I was
Oh,
so busy that I was on tour in Europe, I sure I would have lost everything as well. But I was just here in Dallas.
well, that was actually a really funny thing about touring Europe. Um, the for one, we worked a lot. Like our ideas wasn't like we're going to play one night and then we're going to have 2 nights off and we're going to see the sights. It was like we're going to work every single night that we can as long as our singer can keep up. Um, and then like when rarely we had days off, we were faced with the choice of, okay, do I want to like pay the mortgage when I get home, or do I want to go see the Eiffel Tower? you know and so
Decisions,
it's funny,
decisions.
right? So it's funny, I get to say I spent, I don't know, like 8 years or 7 years or something, kind of touring Europe, but really kind of I got to spend several years playing rock clubs in Europe. I don't know that I can't say I saw Europe, other than through the bus window. But I sure got to see all the rock clubs, and the rock clubs there are kind of just like the Basement here, which is kind of just like the Roxy there. Uh,
It
if
well, whenever you play a lot of venues, they're all similar. I mean, when you're
right,
playing frequently. So yeah, I get it.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that a lot of people, even just, playing in metal shop or like La Freak or whatever, people think that you have time or you want to go sightsee or whatever, but you really don't. You're just like, you're usually tired. You get
Right,
somewhere and you're just like, oh, I just drove 8 hours or whatever. I'm just going to go do a sound
yes,
check and go take a nap at the hotel. And then the next day you're just like, oh, I
right,
just want to get home or I want to get to wherever and rest more or whatever. You're like tired. You're not really
right,
feeling like running out and seeing the sights. But wow, that's so cool to have
yeah.
that
Um,
opportunity.
yeah, and um, and somebody from the crew would always write where we were and have it on a monitor facing us. We learned the hard way, that at sound check we needed to have that piece of paper out, because really I woke up on a bus every day, and at
Right.
some
So
points
in your mind, it's almost like you're at the same place every day. It's the same place you're waking up to. Yeah.
every day, yeah, and so yeah, so every day somebody would wake me up and say it's time for sound check, here's coffee. And so I'd drink coffee and I'd do sound check. And we learned the hard way that we needed to have that sign on the monitor for where we are, um, because if we needed to find out how to pronounce it, we could ask at sound check. But that's kind of, that was often felt like the way that we knew where we were. And like as you said, it's super disorienting. Um, I remember I came home to Dallas from one tour, and I was just settling in, and I was like watching TV, and uh, and the news came on, and there was this guy, and everybody was talking about this guy, and I was like, I don't ever even seen that guy. Who's that guy? And my wife was like, that's our president. We have a new
Whoa.
president.
Uh
So,
huh.
and I would just be like, where am I? I'm in Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay, what year is it? It's, I don't know, 97 or whatever.
Right.
I kind of missed that whole thing. I was busy. So yeah, it's a little disorienting, but it sure is fun.
Yeah. I mean, as I've said it many times too. Is like I said, just playing with metal shop is it's like if you're
Mhm.
gigging a lot, sometimes you wake up in a hotel and it takes you a full like 10, 20 seconds before you're like, okay, I'm in Houston or whatever. you're just like,
Right.
you're just like, oh, because
Yes.
you go so fast and you're not, it's hard,
Right. Well,
especially first thing in the morning. You're just like, nothing's familiar. You know, you're in a hotel, but you're not sure which town exactly yet.
right. And so, yeah, so what, one of the highlights of my career, I got to play with you in Metal Shop in San Antonio.
Heck yeah,
Um,
dude!
and
Woohoo!
right,
Stop.
right.
It was fun though,
Woo!
dude. It was
Um,
fun.
and yeah, and probably that night as we were all going to bed, we probably all looked at our calendars for tomorrow, like, okay, I'm about to fall asleep for several hours. What time do I need to wake up for? Where do I need to be? Because how long is the drive? Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
blah.
you do that. It's crazy. I'm sure people don't think about that either, but you do. You have to figure that out.
Right.
If you're a
Yeah.
little off, you're missing sound check.
Right. Yes.
Great. And that's so
Yeah.
cool. Wow. And
We
so
we need
now
to arrange it so we can miss sound check on purpose.
I know, right? Exactly. How do we do that? I don't know, man. We should figure that out. So, when, like, how long have you been playing with Le Freak now? Because, I mean, ever since I've known you, you've been in Le Freak. So that's been
Yeah.
a long time.
It's so
And
funny.
and
That's
tell us how you got, like, how that fell in your lap and everything.
right. Okay. So yeah, that's another thing that I kind of wish I had kept track of. So in between Tyketto tours, I was home one time, and the bass player for the Nixons was a friend of a friend. Do you remember the Nixons?
Yeah, totally. Yep.
Okay, so a friend of a friend called me. Um, let's see, I can't remember where he was at that time. And he called and he said, "Okay, hey, there's this disco band that does like disco, and they wear funny costumes and stuff, and they need fill-in guys. Would you like to try out?" And I was like, "That sounds stupid. No, but thank you for calling me." And
I'm
and
gonna take just that clip, Jaimie, and I'm just gonna post that. I got this
okay,
call to play in this disco band. I was like, no, that sounds stupid. That's all I was gonna
no,
say.
right. No, well, it's fine because it's what a great lesson in humility for me. And he followed up with, "Well, we make a ton of money," and I said, "Still no, because still sounds ridiculous. But thank you very much." Um, and then
Funny.
and then we got off the phone, and I went back on tour, and I at some point more than 20 years ago, I came back in between tours. I had, um, I had, I was going to say I had left Tyketto, but I didn't really leave. I kind of just said, I don't want to do it anymore. It wasn't ugly. I just didn't want to do the Tyketto thing anymore. Um, and that guy, the bass player for the Nixons, called me again, and he said, "Hey, that disco band thing is looking for fill-in guys again, but this time they're looking for guys specifically in Dallas. Um, do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Well, I'm here, and he keeps on telling me that it's fun, and so what the hell? I'll give it a try." And all I remember is that I had been filling in for Le Freak for quite some time before my daughter was conceived, and my daughter's about to turn 22. So
Wow! Holy crap, man!
yeah,
Really?
yeah. So having had the time of my life over and over again before the age of 30, uh, I got to start doing this wonderful The Freak thing, which is the time of my life every time I get to do it for more than 22 years. I really don't have any idea how long I've been doing it. But for the first couple of years that I worked with Le Freak, I was the fill-in guy. So when the Nixons guy would go on tour, I would take his spot. And then when he'd come back from tour, he would resume his duties. And eventually he left to join some other band, um, and I got the Le Freak gig full time, which I've been doing for decades now, and it's just the time of my life. It's such fun music. It's such a fun show. It's so fun to do. I love that every time I walk on stage, I get this lesson in humility. Like, oh man, I turned this down. I
Yeah, that's
what
crazy.
what was I thinking? Because it's so fun. It's the greatest time.
That's
Yeah,
so
well,
awesome.
as you know, I mean, how fun is Metal Shop?
Yeah, it's a total blast, and even though you could play the same set, that same exact set every
Yeah.
time, and it's still just as fun because even though it's
Yes.
the same music or whatever, it's different people, at the shows that you're kind of,
Yes.
bouncing energy back and forth, different people that you get to meet, and just awesome people, especially, like you said, in Texas. Awesome people in
Yes.
Texas. The fans in Texas are amazing people. And so,
Yes.
yeah, it's just a total blast. You're right. That kind of a show is a definite blast. And so then
Yes.
from La Freak spanned off. You guys spun off to M80s and Windbreakers. And so,
Yes.
how long has M80s been around? Because as long as I can remember, M80s has been around too.
Right. So as with everything else that I don't remember about my life, it seemed inconsequential when all of these things were starting and we were busy. So I didn't keep track. So
You
I
didn't.
don't
You
know.
weren't like, dear diary, today is.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You're just like
And
cruising along, and suddenly this next thing happens. You're like, wow, cool.
right. And I didn't keep my calendar from those years because every January 1, I was getting a new calendar and I had a ton of stuff in it. So I've been so blessed to be busy and not keep track of these things. But I would believe it if we've been doing the M80s show for 20 years. I really don't remember, but it might be something like 20 years. And then Windbreakers, as you mentioned, is a newer addition. Um, that might be more like 3 or 4 or 5 years that we've been doing that one. Um,
So
yeah.
how was Windbreakers birthed? I remember when that came out because it, like you said, it was more recent. But was that like an idea of somebody in the band?
Oh no, we work for a company, so it was our boss, a guy named Roger. So Roger kind of just sent an email one day and said, "Hey, we've got this new yacht rock show. Uh, we think it would be great for you guys. You should check it out. Here's the song list." And I that was another funny thing. I remember reading the email and going, "What is yacht rock? I've never even heard of yacht rock. I don't know what this is." Um, and then I looked at the song list, and like I looked at the first song, I was like, "Well, I've never heard of that song. This song by this band, I've never heard of that song. I've never heard of that band. This song by this band, never heard of that song by this band." And like I had no idea what any of these songs were, and I was like, "This is going to be stupid." And right, so this is repeating uh,
Right, right.
Jaimie Scott repeating all of his mistakes his whole life.
Oh,
Well, so then I hopped on YouTube and I typed in the first song and I pressed play, and instantly, whatever song it was, instantly I was like, "Oh, I love this song." I just didn't know that's what it was called. I didn't know that was the band who did it. I freaking love this song. And then let me try the second song. And just like 2 bars in, I'm like, "Oh, I love this song. This is a great song." I
it's
just
like
didn't
all
know
these
the
songs
name
he
of the
didn't know the
song.
name. Yeah, that's crazy.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And that's a funny thing. Still to this day, as a matter of fact, probably when I got to work with you in Metal Shop, at some point you guys were probably like, "Well, Jaimie, here's a song list. Do you know these songs?" And I don't remember who I was talking to, whether it was you or Michael Diamond or whoever. But as I was going through the list, I would have gone, I don't. So girls, girls, girls. Yeah, I know that one. Turn up the radio. Yeah, I know that one. That's a great one. That's one of my favorites. Do you do that in G or do you do that in? Okay, yeah, I can do it in that key. And then this song, I don't. What is that song? And and like you sing a bar, and I go like, "Oh yeah, I totally know that song." So
Yeah. Yeah.
part of the problem is I just don't know song titles, and I don't know band names. Um,
That's so awesome. You're like a horrible musician, Jaimie.
Oh, I know. So actually, here's a funny one that just came up recently. I was playing with some friends at a bar just a week or two ago, and the guitarist said, the afternoon of the gig, he said, "Hey man, I'd really like to do Hank Williams' Family Tradition." And I said, "Man, I've never heard it, but I'll learn it." He was like, "Well, it's pretty easy. I know you can do it. So if you have time this afternoon, please learn that song." And I was like, "Okay, sounds stupid, but because I've never heard it, but all right, whatever." And so of course I had that exact experience. I typed it into YouTube, I pressed play, and I was like, oh, I love this
I
song.
love this song. This is
And
awesome. It's like, I
better
think.
yet, yeah, and better yet, I've played that song in front of audiences at least 5 times. I just never knew the name of the song. You know, it's always been one of those things where the guitarist or the vocalist just says, "Hey, this one's in A, follow me." You know, and so I've actually played the song a ton of times. I just never knew the name of it.
That's so funny, man.
It's
Wow.
so good to be a bass player.
The illustrious career of Jaimie Scott. Man, look at you, dude. I gotta give a shout out to the few people who are watching right now who are shouting out to you, Jaimie. Jennifer Jackson is in the house.
Aw.
She says that she's the same way about songs, by the way. She says, I know songs, but I don't know artists.
Oh, good.
Kim Lusk, the goddess of thunder, says, Jaimie rocks that bass. Awesome.
I love
Jennifer
that
Jackson
woman.
is all Jaimie. Chad Crutchfield is in the house. Yes.
Wow.
I know, dude. What's up, Chad?
Yeah.
Timothy's here. Duna's here. We've got Rayanne is in the house. A lot of people in the house. Dude, man, that was quite a run through your life, man. I feel pleasantly fulfilled. You know, I feel like I've learned all I wanted to know and then some. And plus, now I get to go like cyber stalk you for this Cherry Street and Tyketto and stuff and go dig through and see what I can find to make fun of you about. I'll like do like pictures of me with my computer going with your videos in the background. I'll be like, oh, you're like so stupid. That's so awesome, man. That's really
Oh,
cool.
man.
Well, you know, the
Well,
thing that I think you smile all the time, and I think it's so cool how it's just clear how grateful you are for the life that you have.
yes.
And I think that's like so
Yes.
important for a person to have. So I just love you, man. You and your smile and positive shizzle. It's just really cool to see you get to hang
Aw.
out and chat and learn your life, man. Very cool.
So thank you so much for including me
You
in
bet,
this. And
man.
it was just a blast.
It's so much fun. I can't wait to watch the replay.
Ah,
Like, I'm gonna go find all that stuff for real. But thanks so much for being here. Like I said, I'm gonna pop this up on YouTube. It'll be available here on Facebook right after we're done with the show. So be sure to go watch the replay so you can see us like sitting next to each other inside of drums and stuff. It's pretty cool.
nice.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jaimie, for joining, man. You
Thank
take
you
care.
all.
You have a great night, okay?
All right, you too. Bye.
Awesome. Guys, that was the awesome Jaimie Scott, dude. So awesome to have him here.